The window that never closed. It began with a window that should not have been open. On the third night after his mother's funeral, Adam woke to the sound of it. Soft, rhythmic, almost deliberate. Not loud enough to alarm, but persistent enough to disturb the fragile silence of grief that had settled over the house. He lay still, staring into the darkness, convincing himself it was the wind. But the wind had been still for days. Adam sat up. The sound came from the end of the corridor, his mother's room. That door had remained closed since the day she died. He had locked it himself. The house felt different at night now. It no longer breathed with warmth or whispered with familiarity. It watched, it listened, and sometimes, like now, it spoke. Adam stepped into the corridor, the wooden floor groaning under his weight. The air was colder here, sharper, as if it hadn't forgiven him for leaving the room untouched. The tapping stopped. He froze. Silence rushed in like a held breath finally released. Then, again, the tapping. Closer this time from inside the room. The key was still in his pocket. His fingers trembled as he slid into the lock. For a moment, he hesitated, not out of fear, but out of something deeper, a quiet resistance, as though opening the door would undo something sacred, or reveal something he wasn't ready to see. But grief had its own gravity, and it pulled him forward. The door creaked open. The window was wide open. Curtains stirred gently, though there was no wind outside. The night stood still, watching through the glass like an uninvited guest. Adam stepped in slowly. Nothing had changed. The bed was made exactly as she used to leave it. Her shawl rested over the chair. A book lay open on the side table as if she had just stepped away mid-sentence. Everything was in place except the window. He approached it. It wasn't just open, it was unlocked from the inside. His mother had been careful, obsessively so. She locked everything, doors, windows, even drawers. Some things, she used to say, should never be left open. Adam reached for the latch, intending to close it, but stopped. There, on the glass, faint, barely visible, a handprint from the inside. He stepped back. A cold realization crept in. He had been the one to close that window the day she died. He remembered it clearly. The doctor had left, the neighbors had whispered, the house had sunk into silence. And before leaving the room, Adam had shut the window, locked it, watched the latch click. He was sure of it. Then again, the sound. Adam turned sharply. The sound came again, not from the window this time, from behind him. He spun around. Nothing. The room stood still, unchanged, yet undeniably altered, like a photograph that had been moved ever so slightly. His eyes fell on the mirror. It stood against the wall, tall and old, its wooden frame worn with time. He hadn't noticed it before, or perhaps it hadn't been there. He approached it slowly. His reflection stared back, pale, hollow-eyed, carrying the weight of sleepless nights. But something was wrong. The reflection lingered, just a second longer than it should. Adam blinked, the reflection blinked, but too late. A chill ran through him. He stepped back. The reflection didn't. It stood still, watching him, and then it smiled. Adam stumbled, his breath catching in the throat. "No," he whispered, shaking his head. "No, this isn't." The reflection raised its hand, not in mimicry, in intention, and placed it against the inside of the glass, exactly where the handprint had been. "Adam?" The voice was soft, familiar, too familiar. His heart stopped. That voice, it was hers. "Adam," it called again, gentle, almost tender. "Why did you close the window?" Tears filled his eyes. This isn't real," he said, his voice breaking. You are gone." The reflection tilted its head, as his mother used to when he said something foolish. "Gone?" it repeated. "Is that what you believe?" The room darkened, not with the absence of light, but with the presence of something heavier, something watching, something waiting. "You left me," the voice continued, no longer gentle. "You closed everything." I didn't," Adam stammered. I stayed. I did everything I could." "You closed the window." Her voice sharpened. "Do you know what happens when you close the only way out?" Adam shook his head violently. This isn't you," he said. My mother wouldn't." "Wouldn't what?" The reflection stepped forward, out of the mirror. Adam stumbled backward, hitting the wall. She stood there now, no longer a reflection, no longer contained. Her presence filled the room, yet felt hollow, like something wearing her shape, but not her soul. Her eyes were wrong, too still, too deep. "You always listen to me," she said softly, stepping closer. "Why not now?" Adam's voice trembled. Because you're not her." A pause, then a smile, slow, unnatural. "Then why?" she whispered. "Do you remember locking the window when you never did?" Adam froze. "What?" "You think you closed it," she continued. "You think you remember everything clearly." Her voice softened again. "But grief changes memory." His mind raced. Fragments of that day surfaced, blurred, uncertain. The doctor leaving, neighbors speaking, his hand shaking, the room spinning. Had he? Had he really closed it? You left it open, she said gently. You left me open. The room seemed to pulse. The air thickened. And now, she whispered, stepping closer, something else came in. The window slammed shut behind him. Adam turned, but it was already locked from the inside. When he turned back, she was gone. Only the mirror remained, still, silent, empty. Adam stood there for a long time, too long. The house returned to silence, the kind that doesn't comfort, only waits. The next morning, the neighbors found the house open, the front door wide, curtains unmoving, rooms untouched. Adam was gone. They searched for days, weeks, but there was no sign of him, no struggle, no note, nothing. Only one thing felt wrong. The window in his mother's room was tightly shut, locked, and on the glass from the outside, a handprint.